that actively work to deny rights to others. Joining me now, Huffington Post political reporter Laura Bassett and writer at Salon.com, Eli Clifton. Eli is also a reporting fellow with the Investigative Fund at the Nation Institute. The Nation Institute is a nonprofit media center dedicated to strengthening the independent press and advancing social justice and civil rights. Whew, that's a long one. Welcome to you both. So, all right, Eli, I want to start with you and give us a sense of how this works, because as a lot of these things work, you sort of have the National Christian Foundation. That's just one piece of this network of organizations.
Right. Well, the National Christian Foundation, as I tried to show, really serves as sort of the pass-through. They collect the money, which then goes out to a vast network that seeks to promote, it would seem in this case, a right-wing Christian agenda, both at the state level through bills such as SB 1062 in Arizona, as well as through the court system for cases such as the Hobby Lobby case. Now, the interesting thing, as you just showed there, is that when we look at, well, where does the money to National Christian come from, we never knew. It just served as this big monolith, this funding source. Now we know that what appears to be the case is that Hobby Lobby and Hobby Lobby executives are the largest source of funding to this massive donor-advised fund.
Got it. And I want to take a look, Laura, at some of the other ultra-conservative initiatives that the Center for Arizona Policy is behind. That's the one behind 1062, and they also are a recipient of funds from the National Christian Foundation. They are, let's see, they have, since its 1995 establishment, 123 measures have been signed into law, including initiatives supported by the prohibiting same-sex marriage statute, requiring an ultrasound to be conducted before an abortion. I want to also look at the Alliance Defending Freedom, another one of the groups. They are responsible for, in the case of Coakley v. McCullen, which is basically would change the buffer zone laws around abortion clinics, and Elaine Photography versus Wilcock, photographers who refuse to photograph a same-sex marriage ceremony. So, Laura, it does seem that the funding seems to go to organizations with a fairly specific right-wing agenda.
That's right. What I think is interesting is that Hobby Lobby has said over and over with regard to this case against the contraception mandate, this is not about trying to infringe on women's rights. All we're trying to do is just not have to pay for contraception because we're religiously opposed to it. It's not about this other parade of horribles that people keep bringing up, the Arizona anti-gay bill, among other things. In reality, Hobby Lobby is funding groups that actually get these bills into law, mandatory ultrasound bills, as you mentioned, abstinence-only education bills, bans on gay marriage. And those bills are not at all about religious freedom. Rather, they're about, you know, an extreme group trying to impose their religious beliefs on other people.
Well, and it's interesting because they would say that it is under the guise of religious freedom. According to one of the group's websites, they say that they are working, this I think you wrote in your piece, toward the spread of the gospel by transforming the legal system and advocating for religious liberty, the sanctity of life and marriage and family. So it does seem like they do see part of their mission as, getting laws put into place and then fighting laws that they feel don't support their beliefs.
Well, let's look at the contraception mandate. What it does is it forces women to have a medically unnecessary procedure, whether the doctor recommends it or not, whether the woman wants it or not, in order to convince her not to have an abortion. So where is the freedom there?
Well, but also, Eli, I mean, these other initiatives that they're involved in, again, in those other cases, there, too, they're using religious liberty as the underlying excuse.
Exactly. I mean, and just to look more closely at Hobby Lobby, once again, this is a company that says that they run their, and the Green family that owns it, that says that they run their company based off of biblical principles. And that in and of itself shouldn't be a problem for anybody.
Sure.
The problem here, and where I think that a lot of this agenda is driving towards, is seeking to impose their religious beliefs on others by seeking either to challenge, in this case, a federal law through the Affordable Care Act, or passing legislation at the state level that would legalize discrimination against gays and lesbians, or in the case of the invasive ultrasound test, imposing these policies on women. women. So I think that the trend here isn't just their desire to practice their religion in an unhindered situation. It's that they want to impose their agenda on people who work for them, who want to go into their stores, and for that matter, to support that agenda in states where there's other plaintiffs who want to take these cases on.
And you know, Laura, it strikes me, like, I wonder what the reaction would be if this case was a Muslim company that said, we would like to require women to wear veils because that is within our religious beliefs. I think we'd be having a very different conversation.
You're right, we would, as we did with the Arizona anti-gay law. I mean, Republicans and Democrats united together against that bill and thought it was a really bad bill, and the Republican governor vetoed it because people don't necessarily agree with allowing businesses to discriminate against an entire subset of people. And somehow, Hobby Lobby has changed the discussion here to say, oh, we're not discriminating against our 26,000 employees who won't get the same benefits as the rest of the country. We are just a mom-and-pop Christian organization trying not to pay for contraceptives. I think they've done a great job trying to change the conversation.
You know, and just changing the conversation a little bit, one of the things that I keep wondering about, Laura, I will put this question to you, is, you know, we're also not really talking much about how insurance companies pay for things like Viagra or pumps, right, other types of instruments. I mean, so it's perfectly all right to do those kinds of things, but yet when it comes to contraception for women, which, as we know, many women use contraception not necessarily for family planning. For some, it's migraines. It's, you know, there's a range of health reasons that a woman might do so. And yet there's that double standard when it comes to, you know, men's health and women's health.
Well, you're right, and birth control is not controversial at all. 98 to 99% of sexually active women have used birth control at some point, and we're talking about Democrats, Republicans, Catholics. All subsets of women have used birth control, and what a lot of people don't point out is that Hobby Lobby's objection to birth control is that they believe that it is abortion. And this is a view that is not supported by science, and it's not supported by the medical community, but somehow the Supreme Court is allowing them to take this view that birth control is abortion. It's like arguing that apples are oranges, and therefore you're not going to serve apples.
Well, it is a very interesting case, and we shall keep at it to see how it turns out. Thank you to Laura Bassett and Eli Clifton.